It's exciting, dude.
It is. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
We don't get to do this a whole lot. This is kind of our.
No.
You get to be the pilot. You get to be the guinea pig on this.
Well,
Jax
sweet.
Hertel, the first one on the show here,
Yep.
linebacker out of Bigfoot. One of the coolest names, I think, recruiting areas that we've gone into, brother.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited. This should be fun.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
Intimidated at all being behind the microphone? Is this your first time?
A little bit, yeah. First time.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing, so.
I like it. I like it. Sophomore linebacker out of Bigfoot. What was the first time you heard of Northern?
Probably, so one of my cousin's best friends, Will Borchert, he went up here, so.
Oh, yeah.
I heard of Northern a few years ago, and then during high school, I started getting recruited by them and came up for a visit and liked it ever since, so yeah.
Now, you had a coach that had Northern ties in high school.
Yeah.
That had to play a big role in that.
Yeah, so my senior year, we got a new head coach in high school, Jace Daniels, actually. He played here and then played in the NFL or whatever, and then came back and coached here.
Or whatever. Yeah, that feels like a pretty big detail, absolutely.
And then he coached, I think, at Tech, and then after that, he wanted to get back into high school, so then he came to my high school and coached my senior year, and then now he's back at Tech.
First impressions of NMU when you heard it from either Borch or Coach Daniels, is this a place that you could even see yourself being at?
Yeah, for sure.
Really? Right away?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I mean, so my hometown's got a lake and like a town, and this place obviously got Superior and a nice downtown, so it kind of feels like home in that aspect, I guess.
High school, first team, all region. You rushed for 1,000 yards your senior year. I did not know that, by the way. I should have done a little more studying.
Yeah.
Were we ever going to see you on the other side of the ball, or was it always linebacker?
No, I always got recruited as linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Is that something that maybe we could see this year in a little bit of a different package? Or
I don't think so.
Goal line? Not even like a goal line deal?
I don't think so. We got some good running backs.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I think that's one that was a new one for me. I didn't know if there's any aspiration for you to play on the offensive side of the ball going to college.
No, I mean, being recruited, I was only recruited as a linebacker. I mean, early recruitment, I went to a few camps as running back, but other than that, I was like, well, I'm getting recruited as linebacker, so might as well stick with it.
They kind of made that decision for you.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
Talk about that recruiting process. What were some of the challenging aspects of that and figuring out? I mean, you kind of find out pretty early on where they have you slated.
Yeah, for sure.
In the realm of things, but how about that process?
So I really didn't start getting recruited until I'd say my junior year. I mean, I got a few like DMs, like camp invites or whatever. So I attended those camps, and then a bunch of smaller schools were contacting me, and then it wasn't really until more like D2s were contacting me until like before my senior year or whatever, and then I was like committed to Northern before my senior year. So
I think were you our first in that class? You were one of the first in that class.
I want to say I was the first one.
It was pretty wild. It was wildly early.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. Now, curious to know this. I think from the outside looking in from a high school perspective to now where you're like borderline like vet status now coming through a couple of years.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
It is wild, right? But how has your view changed of that process and the college football like recruiting scheme as a whole, coming from a senior in high school and 18-year-old to now playing 2 years in college football? How has your view changed on kind of that system and the way people go through it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to really take your time with recruiting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities you can get. I took my time, and obviously Northern came to me, and I knew it was the right place. So you just gotta, it'll tell you. You'll know it's natural that it'll be like, okay, this is the place I want to go.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because I think I get a mixed bag of. There's a lot of people that say they come here and they have this moment where did you physically step on campus and you felt that sense of this is home for the next 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I don't personally, I never got that. And I know other people that maybe never felt that way. And Northern for me was a lot of things, but it was never the one that was like stood out. And I think throughout my recruiting process, it was ruling out other schools based on X, Y, or Z different criteria. And then I got to Northern, and it was, well, there's no real reason to write them off.
Right, exactly.
And so then you show up, and then I kind of found out that it was a great place to be in.
For sure.
But it's neat to hear the other side of that perspective, I think.
Yeah.
Talking about your first year, any fun, appropriate freshman stories running around off the field that we can talk about, or what? Yeah, go ahead and think back on that.
Freshman year, appropriate stories.
Yeah, that might be all we get there.
Yeah, probably.
I know
it takes me a while to think. But
when you first get up here, though, like that first couple of weeks on campus, like the weather is beautiful. Obviously, you're going basically right into camp. But I know for myself, and I think for you guys, it's kind of the same way in that like you do get a little bit of time to go out with the guys, like and try and build those relationships. Talk about those first couple weeks in Marquette, running around and going to the Black Rocks and just jumping in the water every chance you get. That had to feel. It's pretty nice.
So my freshman year, we went out every weekend to do whatever, like hikes, go swimming or whatever. I'd say the first few weeks I was up here my freshman year, we went to Black Rocks probably every weekend for a month. And then,
are you serious?
Yeah, we loved it. I mean, and even after practice, we just take all our stuff off, go to the beach, and just really shower at the beach. I mean, it's just so nice having the lake right by you.
Is it a shower if there's no soap or shampoo involved, or is it?
Some people say different, but I think, yeah.
So staying on the idea of coming out of high school, like it's no secret, like the struggling program as of late.
Yeah.
Was it easy for you to buy into the ideology and the mantra coming out of high school and to really get into that when maybe the results on paper hadn't really spoken for themselves yet?
Yeah. So in high school, I struggled a little bit too. My senior year, we didn't win many games. And I knew that I wanted to go somewhere and help a program and change it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're currently doing right now. So I thought it was a good thing for me to buy into that aspect. So, yeah.
There's something very gratifying about like leaving your mark on a place. And I'm sure you did the same thing in high school. Right. I don't know what your success was when you came into that, but talk about building that level of trust and responsibility over the course of the years. The same thing you're doing now, maybe on a smaller level at high school, but talking about you being that first commit in that class.
Yeah.
You probably became the best recruiter for Northern when it came to other guys that were maybe on the fence. Talk me through that process.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of Wisconsin guys that I knew that were getting recruited around my area, so I would just reach out to them and be like, hey, like, this is a great spot. You should look into it. Even some guys at my high school.
Just getting in DMs of guys that like probably didn't even follow you at the time or know who you were.
No idea who I was.
That's cool.
And then later into the year, I saw some commitments, and we'd DM them, add them on Snapchat or whatever, make friends, and we all made a whole new group chat, like a freshman group chat, and now it's still a group chat to this day. So
that's fun. Yeah. It's tough though. Like you're signing up to, yes, be a part of this football program in this school, but now you've also become like the #1 ambassador for this small demographic of people.
Right.
These,
Yeah.
These kids are going to try and play at the next level that are like curious about a place.
Right.
Did anyone reach out to you and start that conversation?
Not that I remember. There might have been a few people that were like, hey, what are your thoughts on Northern? Like, how do you like the coaches or whatever? But other than that, I don't know much. So no,
it's tough at that time. It's hard to like just connect with random people and do that. And you've got a few years left still. But what's something you wish that the 18-year-old Jax knew coming into this?
I wish I was more prepared.
Really? How so?
Yeah. So before my freshman year, I really didn't do much in the summer.
Okay.
I kind of just came up here thinking, oh, it's still football or whatever. And then right away I knew, like, day one, this is different. I got to figure it out and switch it up pretty quick. So then I'd just tell myself, just prepare better and get ready for August 5th.
Especially when it comes to the offseason.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I mean, I've seen, obviously, the work that you put into that.
Yeah, offseason's huge.
That first offseason, you just decided, like, every day, take it up a notch. What did you do to separate yourself?
Yeah, so I knew from what I did freshman year wasn't enough, obviously. So my cousin at home, he's my trainer.
Okay,
and we made a schedule every day. We were like, we need to be so disciplined. We need to get you ready for your sophomore year. We need you to be better than you were last year. And I don't know, it just came down to discipline, and knowing what I did freshman year was not enough.
Any fun, like, wake up in the morning, you got a poster on the wall or like a mantra taped on the door frame? Or
no, I just really was all mental, just thinking about our lack of success our freshman year, and I think that was always just in my head to help motivate me to get through everything.
That can be the best fuel.
Yeah.
It can also be a huge deterrent.
Right.
And I think when you have a young group of imprintable guys like that, it sometimes can get split pretty 50-50.
For sure.
How did you guys deal with that as a freshman class where you have a really tough season?
Yeah.
And there's half of you that probably take that and go back home and you work over the summer. And D2 is such an interesting level too, because Division I, they might get a month off after the season, but you're right back on campus in like early June and you're just rolling from there.
Yep, for sure.
D2, there is so much responsibility and accountability for these guys to go home to their respective spots all over the summertime, and it's on you to get the work in. So how do you, as a freshman who's like still kind of really earning his stripes in a way, even though you played really well on the field, how do you navigate that with that group?
I mean, like you said, you have a lot more time to go home.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot of people can make the choice whether to go home and stay home in the summer, or they can come up and work out with the team in the summer, and that makes a big difference. And I think it's huge to just keep the team together after a season we did my freshman year.
Yeah.
It's just big to keep everyone together and keep those negative thoughts away so that it doesn't just bring down the team. That's not the only thing we're talking about. And yeah.
Go back to the freshman roommates. Like that stage was just funny to me of like, you have this group of guys that pretty big signing class.
Yeah, for sure.
You come in and now like, okay, here's every possible name. You got to pick one to be your roommate. You got to pick two to be your suite mates.
Yeah.
It's a really awkward time.
Yeah,
you show up on day one and like get to meet these guys. Talk about that phase and then how those relationships have kind of evolved into what they are
sure.
now.
So my freshman year roommate, unfortunately does not go here anymore, but we were on our official visit together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we had fun that whole weekend, and we were like, hey, you want to be roommates or whatever? And we were like, yeah. And then, like I said before, we have that big group chat, like the big freshman group chat. Yeah. We all kind of decided through that group chat, and then most
just
of those,
weeding it out on the group chat.
Right.
Like,
and most
sorry,
of those,
I'm taking Cal. Like,
most of those guys are still in that group chat, are still here.
Okay.
So we've all grown to be best friends, and we got a really good friend group right now, and we all live on the same floor in the dorms. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Talk about football wise now. You come in still on year one. You're forced into a pretty big responsibility right off the bat when it came to the actual playing of football.
Right.
How intimidating was that for you? Were you any apprehensive about that role?
Yeah, I mean, it was really intimidating. I mean, I've never played college football before. I came from a small school, Division IV high school.
Yeah.
Not many kids. I mean, I had 400 kids in my school. I mean, I didn't know what high competitive football was.
Yeah.
And coming to
be fair, literally no one at the high school level just, you know what I mean? Like, obviously it's maybe a bigger jump, but like there's not much at the high school level that could prepare you for playing one of the better D2 conferences, right?
And I mean, coming in and seeing the guys that are on my team and seeing the guys we're going to go against. I mean, playing Ferris, they're in the national championship all the time, and they just won it. So playing against those guys, I mean, it was pretty intimidating, but I had to make a decision real quick that I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think I got thrown in there, and I had to figure it out.
Was it a classic case of trial by fire? Like, what helped you settle into that role? Was it literally just, for some people, it's just repetition. For others, maybe it's changing the way you prepare for games, or it could be a combination of both. Talk to me about that.
I think it's my teammates. Okay. I mean, I kind of looked up to all the older guys who really have played football before in college, and I was like, hey, like, I was kind of freaking out. I was like, I'm about to play my first game. I'm not really sure what's going to go, like what's going to happen. And I just really looked up to them to help calm me down or just help figure out what I'm supposed to do. So,
and I think what's unique about your position there, especially that first year, is you have to come in and learn everything when it comes to the actual scheme, but also college life and school and social life and being a part of a college football program in general.
Yeah.
But you take all of that, you're also at a position on the defense where you have to be responsible for communicating to others on the defense their roles on specific drives and series and things of that nature. That's a lot to be kind of an on-field general in that way. How have you grown in that regard over the class?
I think getting thrown into it right away really helped me. I think it really helped me this year because I had a lot of experience under my belt. So I knew how to communicate with my teammates on and off the field. So now I'm working on bringing up guys that really kind of were in my position. So I'm trying to be like the older guys that help me.
Yeah. And like I said, that's a lot to manage. Did that ever negatively spill over and affect social life, school, personal, outside of football? And you felt like maybe just at any specific time, like this might just be too much, a little too overwhelming?
I always knew I wanted to play football in college. I knew it would be a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, I'd say, like during the season and during the school year, I'd be like, oh, I got a lot of homework, but I got to get ready for this game. I got to study film, and then I would be like, oh, I'm not really hanging out with my friends. Like, what do I do? But you adapt to it pretty quickly, and it gets to be your normal. So.
And then coming out of year one, the thing about expectations is that they typically only go up, and especially in your case where you show a lot of promise on the field. How do you balance that with, you have some guys now after a year on the field that are looking to you to really be the guy maybe to step up and make the play or step up and say the right thing. You go into the offseason probably more fuel than ever in that regard, but how do you personally kind of manage those expectations and try to realistically place yourself there?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's just more mental.
Yeah.
I think you just got to look back at your lack of success and just stay focused on what you want and like what you want for the team. You can't really just think about like your personal goals or like all GLIAC or whatever. You just got to think about your team and think about helping them. And like you said, helping the younger guys. And if they ask me questions, I'll answer. If they need any help, I'll be there for them. And
Absolutely. 2 years into it now, what are you most proud of about yourself, what you've been able to accomplish? Again, record aside.
I say just to adapt to everything that's happened.
Yeah.
So we've been through a lot. So I think I'm pretty happy with how I've adapted and how everyone else has adapted to everything that has happened.
I asked Coach Dufresne to describe you. Give me a couple words. Any guesses?
For what he described me as?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Defensive coordinator. He was nice.
Oh, he was nice?
He was nice, if that helps hint-wise.
Oh, that doesn't really help.
Dependable.
Okay.
Smart.
Okay.
Competitor.
Okay.
What do those mean to you?
So it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good coach. We grew close together for over the last few years, so I know he always has my back. I always have his back. So I'm always trying to be a competitor, always trying to be coachable, and just trying to be the best I can be.
Smart, that just comes naturally.
Yeah, I think so.
The dependable piece, though, I think that's an important one in that's a unique style of leadership in that at least I don't see you as an incredibly vocal leader.
Right. Yeah,
I'm also
I don't
not
either.
Around a ton, you know what I mean, around you guys as much, but I think that's kind of the general sense that I get. But I think your leadership comes from, everyone says lead from example, but I think you lead from just being there and being dependable and being the person that's going to show up to everything and be there on time and give it their best effort. And when you have a guy like that in a team, people gravitate towards that. So it feels like, again, I speak from the outside. You get to tell me how it really is.
Right.
But is that where you see yourself in that you didn't come in grasping for this kind of leadership or mentorship role, but you come in and you show up and you do your work and you get to take care of your business day in and day out? Did you feel like guys gravitated you because of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, I'm not the biggest vocal leader. I'm not
and that's fine.
The one who's always there like screaming and yelling. I just like to be, and I want to improve on that. I want to be more vocal and I want to ensure others or whatever. But yeah, I think where I am best is leading by example and leading by just giving my all and doing everything that's required and even going above and beyond. And yeah,
I think the leadership part, a lot of people like to say they lead by example, but maybe don't take the next step of adding the vocal leadership into as part of that. Because when you say vocal leadership, I think everyone's mind immediately goes towards the yellers, the screamers, the people you hear at practice and you hear on game day. That may or may not be vocal leadership, but I believe that every leader needs to have both, right? So you talk about improving on the vocal side of your leadership. How do you do that? Do you just show up one day and brand new me? I'm getting on you in the middle of the workout, but how do you improve in that regard? Because it's a tough deal.
Yeah, I mean, whether we're during practice, lifts, mobility workouts, I think I just gotta start encouraging my teammates more and really cheering them on, saying like, "Here we go, like keep it going." Because during workouts, I just really lock into myself.
Head down, take care of your business. Yep.
But I really got to help my teammates out and just encourage them, being more vocal in that aspect.
I think that's something, a misconception too, is that vocal leadership is very often accompanied by this sense of like getting on people when they mess up, when they make mistakes. But the positive affirmation side of vocal leadership is definitely more powerful than the negative side of that. Right. So I think that's a really good point of focus on the positives. And when you build up that rapport of being the guy that encourages, the guy that pushes you to achieve, to hit your ceiling, whatever that is, and you have that rapport with those guys, that's the only time, at least in my opinion, where you can really get through and then correct them on something where they make a mistake. Yep. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I mean, there's times where you need to enforce stuff if people make mistakes. Obviously, that should not be happening. That's a great place to start enforcing things. But I think, especially with young guys, they start growing when you encourage them with positive comments and just having them know that they're doing good things.
Yeah.
That really helps them grow, and that helped me grow. And yes, you need to enforce mistakes. That's also a big thing. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think your mindset is right in that if you don't build up that rapport and you're not known as the guy that's going to be uplifting and is going to hold others accountable, then you don't have any ground to stand on when it comes to the other side of it. So I like that. But I wanted to ask what you've learned about this team in your time here and the guys that make it up. And it's a really broad, really general question. So I'll tee it up there. You take it any way you want. But what have you learned about this team and these guys?
I'd say we don't quit. I mean, everyone knows, the public knows everything that's happened the last 2 years. And what they should know is that we don't quit. I mean, everyone stayed committed. We haven't lost that many guys to the portal, and everyone thinks we would or will. Everyone's stayed committed. They haven't quit, and they just want to get better and start winning some games, and they're just hungrier than ever.
What are those conversations like with those guys especially the guys in your signing class, that came in and have only experienced the down, right? There's older guys that might have experienced, some of a little bit of the roller coaster of the ups and downs.
Right.
But you guys maybe just come in at just maybe a bad time in the history of this program. Right. What are those conversations like with those guys after 2 years of, like you say, instilling the faith, making sure guys are rowing in the same direction and not jumping ship?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you talk about our class, really all we know is the stuff that's happened the last few years. So it's kind of hard to get out of it, but you just got to think there's always something better on the other side, and you can always get out of something. So you just got to keep going, and you just never can quit.
Is it harder having almost that kind of blind faith, so to speak, in that, again, for someone who's experienced winning at the college level, it might be easy to say, guys, that we know it's attainable because we've done it before, and so it might be easier to buy into that fact. Is it tougher for some of the younger guys that maybe haven't experienced some of the highs to believe that they're there without seeing it with their own eyes?
Right, for sure. Like some of our younger guys may not know how to win yet. I mean, that's the nature of what's happened, so and that's completely fine. But I think once we get over that hump and everyone knows how to win and what winning feels like, it's unstoppable from there.
Well said, sir. What's next for you? Spring ball, off season?
Yeah, spring ball starts in, is it 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
You probably should know that more than I.
Yeah, probably. I think we have, I want to say a week.
After spring break, right?
Yeah, spring break's 28th, and we have one practice before spring break, and then we go to spring break for like a week and a half.
Then everyone spreads out across the country, and then you come back and keep going.
Yeah, and then we finish spring ball after spring break, and then we have our spring game April 12th.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Oh, I think I'm good. Thanks for
having me.
You've been awesome, dude. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate
that was a blast.
Yeah, that was awesome.